Next up, we have Jeppe, Head of Architecture and Technology from VP Securities. He will tell us all about his experience with Red Hat Open Innovation Labs.
Hi and welcome. My name is Jeppe. The aim with this presentation is to share my thoughts and learnings from working with Red Hat and Innovation Lab. I hope with this presentation to introduce to you the ideas of the challenges that you may encounter when working with modernization, with technologies changes and with new ways of working, and why we were doing this Innovation Lab. I'll ask questions and I'll answer them the best I can. I'll ask the question about the difficulties in modernizing technologies. What are the risks and issues when doing these paradigm shifts, the difficulties in changing culture in a team or an organization. And I'll do this with my experience from working with a team with Innovation Lab. But here a little bit about myself. My name is Jeppe Sigurdsson. I'm Head of Architecture and Technology. For a long time ago, I took a master's degree in Business and Management Science with a strong emphasis on research and applied mathematics. After graduation, I took an interest in technologies and especially application development, which actually kickstarted my developer career. Later on, it came to architecture and then management. And all the way, I've been working with a lot of different methodologies like SP, like UP, like Scrum, and also the traditional waterfall methods. I've worked in the financial sector all my life. Work life. For 6 years now, I've been working as a manager at VP, managing different departments, but common for all has been IT architecture, strategy, technology, but also the methodology that we use is how the project should work and how should the application development teams work. Currently, I work at VP Securities. We are a CSD. We issue securities. We safekeep them. It could be in segregated like investor accounts or in omnibus accounts, and we do settlement, and we do all this in a safe and secure manner. We are an IT house, and we has a special focus on operational stability and security. This is why IT and technology is so crucial to us. This summer we became a Euronext company. They have a strong focus on technology, and I'm looking forward to see how we can leverage from and exploit the possibilities that being part of another company is. Why the need for technology and innovation? Why look at new ways of working? Well, modernization and digitalization is an ongoing, continuous task. You always have to look at things. We conducted in 2019 an analysis on how should a possible future runtime platform looks like. This was part of our IT strategy. We also had to look at the application landscape to see how would it fit in this new platform. Did we need to change it? We have a mainframe platform today, and we were looking at what does the world look like today in a modern way. And obviously containers came into our mind, and we also looked at the OpenShift platform, which is why I'm here today. But the findings that we made, I'll emphasize 3 areas of concerns that when doing this analysis needs special attention. It's about addressing risk and issues. It's about linking things together to make improvements. You have to look at technology, technical depth, and legacy, and combine them with emerging technologies like OCP. But you have to link it together. You take one step at a time. You also have to look at the architecture, the whole landscape of technologies, new standards, application modernization. You create a platform. What should the applications look like? Can you make a lift and shift? Do you have to make a rewrite, recode, migration? There's a lot of things that come into it, but you have to address each issue and then link it together. There's also a lot about challenges in this process, and it's about communication. All the challenge in the process is how you communicate to each other. So it's crucial that you find the way to communicate. And when trying to do a modernization, you have to also to convince the manager, the organization, that this is a good thing. you need to get the funding for it. And how do you find actually the metrics to prove that you benefit from changing something which is not actually a product you deliver, but maybe some technology underneath. We found out that showing the benefits, how do you show the benefits of these technologies? And you know, the costs are high when doing bigger and also smaller modernization tasks. And how can you convert that to ROI for the business? It's difficult, and again, it's about people, because when you do these things, you change the culture, and it's all about the people. You have to be aware that this is probably the most difficult part, and culture do eat changes for breakfast, but not all the time. There are some ways to go through it, and this is what we learned, that you can change things. Of course you can, but you have to be aware that the existing process you have, they are hard to change. So current roles and hierarchy in your organization, they are hard to break down. And it's about, of course, it's about the mindset, and changing technology is also about a mindset, and agile is mindset. So we did some learnings here. We were already moving on with some agile teams in VP, and it's a long road. So why we're doing this was to look at what technology and new ways of work could give us. So what was our approach to convince management or the organization that changing technologies and methodology would give value? Well, showcase the value. We needed to kickstart changes and convince others to follow. And if you want to showcase something, you have to be bold and realistic. You cannot just make a hello world and say now it's running on this platform instead of the other one. You need to be bold to look out and say what we're trying to achieve. And you have to identify the value that you would create. And you have to do it in a short time frame. You cannot make a proof of concept for 2 years and say, okay, now we know what to do, let's start the project. And Innovation Lab come with this notion of doing things in 6 weeks or 12 weeks or 8 weeks. So it fits well into this to showcase something. And you have to challenge that you don't have the knowledge. If you want to change from one thing to another, technology, you might not have the people with the knowledge, the skills, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't do it. And then I think that what you want to showcase should be a combination of a prototyping and a POC. So you come actually out with something that you might use some of it. So it's not just a waste, because usually doing these showcases stuff costs a lot of money. So how did we find the value to showcase? How did we create the value? Well, this is where Red Hat and Innovation Lab comes into the picture. Well, it's difficult to getting practical experience with working with new technologies and ways of working, and it's hard to find out where to start. So Red Hat Innovation Lab was our Kickstarter, because they come up with, well, we needed the skills and the knowledge. We wanted to learn new ways of working, at least some aspects of it, and we had to identify the goals. What did we want to showcase? What was the value in this 6-week time frame, which were our proposal? And discovery session was actually the first thing that was the icebreaker for us. Because this is where you talk about target outcome, and it's about defining business value. It's about perception, so that all the people, all the people in the organization, from IT people to business people to managers, they see the same picture. And discovery session, we use it to set the expectations. It's a key important, and a lot of people gathered in one room before Corona, and it was where we had this energy, and everyone could see, okay, can we do this in a short time frame? Well, then there's something to build further upon. So you have to look at that. And it's also about understanding MVP. It's about building what gives business value. And with our work in the Innovation Lab, we did the impact mapping, continuous working around it. The sprint goals, I would emphasize, were key important to us to get this continuous feedback loop, to be able to ask the business, are we doing the right thing now? Should we change something? What is better, what is not? And it comes back to business agility and scalability. It's about business value. You must be able to change directions, and by doing, when working with sprints, you automatically in some way, in the end, will be able to change directions. To not say, okay, we need a year before we are done, but we can change directions. You must be prepared to scale up and down. This is the business agility and the IT. They go hand in hand. We need to make sure that we can support what the business wants and at the time they want it. So what goals did we end up with, and how did we work? And so finding key metrics. How do you prove the value you create? Well, our strategy was we want to showcase doing this modernization, future possible platform we were looking at. And PowerPoint doesn't always work. So showcase for us was the key. And Innovation Lab was the key to showcase it with. Our goals were business related. We actually created a mini MVP of our core applications. It was DevOps related. We wanted to automate a lot of the process we have today. We want to showcase that we can automate it, lower the cost, the time for doing stuff. The CI/CD pipeline was totally automated, infrastructure as code. And we wanted to use agile methods to show that the agility gives us the possibility to change direction in bits and bytes, small steps at a time. The actual business value that we wanted to measure, you can take the book Accelerate, which is great to look at some metrics there. And time to recover is very important for us as an operational stability. Do we have an error? How long time does it take to recover? But it could be also like how fast can you create an environment? We got a new developer onboarding. How quick can we do this? So we defined a lot of different metrics, and I'm not going down and talk about these metrics, but it's important to find the metrics. So actually you can showcase them afterwards that now we can do it at this time of speed to really show the value. How did our Innovation Lab then go? Well, going agile and learning new technologies is no walk in the park. It requires will and motivation and boldness to try to be successful. And if you try to do this all in a short time frame, it's even more scary. And this was what we wanted actually to show. We were bold, but it's not easy. And we did have hiccups, and we did have frustrations. Of course, we did. Let's say on-site is best. We did some online, and it's hard to let everyone in when some people are gathered in a room and some is online. We are not all on the same level. So some people would like to move faster, but we wanted everyone to get learnings out of it. So we have to step down. And the good thing about Innovation Lab is that they pair up with one-on-one with competences and skills. So that's a major good thing, but again, you have to be aware that people don't learn at the same level. And then when doing this Innovation Lab, try to get the organization involved, and that was very difficult because you do some stuff, you want to show them, but it's easier if they belong to the process from the beginning and all the way. We did have some walkthroughs at where we were with some of the managers and some of the developers and business, and it was quite positive. But it is better if you can get more involved because then they are more willing to take part of it afterwards. Cross-functional teams is also a place you have to look into and see the good and bad things. We want to create a platform as well as an application, so we were 2 teams working as one. For the start, we didn't share one room. We had 2 separate rooms, which gave some clashes. One, we didn't talk that much to each other. Later, we got one big room, which was huge success. So you need to be together to share the same goal all the time, and be aware of the team dynamics and the behaviors in the team all the time. And this is where I think that a skilled Scrum Master is important to work with the people, work with the team all the time. The key thing to a success is the safe environment, if you ask me. You get away from everything. You get a place where it's okay to say, I can't do it. It's okay to fail. It's a place where fueling new behaviors because you learn from doing stuff. And you need these frustrations because it also gives breakthroughs. So the safe environment is crucial, and we managed to do that. Yeah, and I say you always doing these iterations. It's come back to fail fast or learn quick. You have to iterate. You have to try and use trial and error because if you don't fail, how do you know that the things you build is good if you haven't nothing to compare it with? So the safe environment is one of the most important things. So was Innovation Lab a success? Well, it's about having the right motivation in the team. It's about the right methodology. You need to be on site to look people in the eyes. It's much easier when doing this, and focusing on the sprint goals each time to make sure that you create the value that is actually needed, and be common about it. You need to share the same, that this is what is important for the team. So with all these things comes great achievements. Well, and as I said before, we had our ups and downs. It wasn't that easy at all. We did have many frustrations, but when we found the safe environment, everything became much more easier, so to speak. You have to acknowledge that the social capacity is an important factor, and we don't all have the same social capacity and empathy skills because it's about people. To get the motivation, get the people to work, and then of course you also need the skills. Some developers are introverted, yeah, sure, but it doesn't mean that they can't shine or shine in a team. Of course they can, and work like a team. So, what was the next step after Innovation Lab? What should be next step after Innovation Lab? What could be next step after Innovation Lab? Well, going forward, I'll say be open-minded for everything. Of course, if things is working fine and the future looks good, you may not need to change anything at all at the time. But be open-minded. Changes might occur at some pace where you should do some changes. So look at modernization, look at technologies, look at way of working continuously. That's important, even if what you have is working fine. And remember, context changes. You might hear the phrase that, oh, we have tried that before. Well, maybe the context has changed. Maybe the people have changed. So maybe the technology has changed. So while doing it now, today, it might work, even though it didn't work 2, 3, 4 years ago. And it's about sustainability. It's about having the long sight to look at the long run and say, okay, what do we want to achieve, and don't make too many adjustments when doing this. Like keeping the safe environment. It's important you have a safe environment all the time. So it's capable of continuing at the same level for a long time. It's important when going forward. And it's about platform and culture. They go hand in hand, my experience. Changing processes as well as technology is a good idea. It's hard to change processes in IT when not changing the technology. And if you're doing different stuff, bigger stuff, it's even more important that they go hand in hand. And give people less things to hold on. The habits they have when you change the technology and the process at once, they say, okay, well, I have to do something completely new. Of course, you need to motivate them to do it. Things to remember. I'll say that get a methodology, a common understanding of how we work when doing, even if it's, no matter if it's agile or if it's waterfall, have a common understanding of it, and then they can pick and choose. Open Practice Library has a lot of good stuff in it. For us, when doing this Innovation Lab, a strong Scrum Master was essential because you need to understand the maturity levels in the team and also between teams when if you have running Scrum in a large organization. And I must say, before we started Innovation Lab, we had a blueprint, we had the architecture in place, we knew where to go to, we knew that it was containers, we knew that it was the OpenShift platform that we were looking into. So we had the baseline of the blueprint aligned. But then, be explorative, and we found a lot of new stuff while doing this, all the surroundings. And also if you look at your own organization, keep legacy in mind. You have something already, and they can be difficult to change, and the people's behavior around them can be difficult to change. And look again, do we need to change? You have to ask yourself that question. So just to round up here, what did we end up with in our Innovation Lab? Well, for us, generally speaking, I say that existing system is not that terrible. Business live and thrive using these systems, but they may take up a lot of resources, have higher maintenance cost, take longer time, and due to technical debt, it becomes a cost burden at some point. So that is why I say continuous look at what you have. Our outcome, well, we're focusing on three things: the solution architecture, the platform architecture, and the methodology. And today we have a reference architecture that we can take forward when doing new projects. We have a great understanding of OCP platform and the tools around it. And we're ready to adopt DevOps in a more broader sense. And we got a best practice for using agile methodologies for product development. So we came with a lot of good things. The outcome of this is great for us to move on to. I think that the difficult task is then to actually do it, because now you have to scale up, and that is where it really gets difficult. I truly hope that I have inspired some of you with this presentation, and maybe just confirmed that my thoughts were some of them that you already have from the beginning. And maybe if you were in doubt, I've convinced you that you shouldn't be in doubt anymore. So thank you for listening to me. Bye.